In the Universal Pulse Fitness Arena, a gym so exclusive its entry requirements bordered on the absurd, the Titan Force GX Ultra stood as a monument to engineering hubris. This gleaming behemoth of chrome and circuitry hummed with the quiet confidence of a machine designed to withstand the forces of a neutron star. Zutix, the head engineer of Extrax Fitness Solutions, proudly presented his creation to a galaxy of elite athletes, fitness fanatics, and beings of such bizarre biology that they defied easy description. He boasted of its unbreakable nature, its absolute perfection, its ability to cater to the fitness needs of every species, from the frailest human to the mightiest quag. A flat, almost bored voice cut through Zutix's grand pronouncements. "Can I try it?" Heads turned, some with necks, others with stalks, and at least one with a hydraulic piston, to find the source of this unexpected interruption. Leaning casually against the protein dispenser was a human, unremarkable in every way. Jack Kennel, a technician from some forgotten corner of the galaxy, regarded the machine with the mild interest of someone contemplating a vending machine. Zutix, whose species blinked by folding translucent membranes, momentarily sputtered in surprise. "A human?" Jack, unperturbed, simply shrugged. "Sure, why not? It's a gym, right? Machines are for using, not just admiring." A ripple of unease went through the alien crowd. Beings capable of crushing steel in their equivalent of a pinky finger exchanged nervous glances. Humans weren't known for their physical prowess. Durable, yes, in a way that suggested they could survive a tumble in a clothes dryer, but hardly a threat to a machine of this caliber. Zutix, regaining his composure, invited Jack to demonstrate his effort. Jack ambled towards the Titan Force GX Ultra with a posture that suggested both laziness and a peculiar brand of confidence. He muttered to himself about hoping it wouldn't electrocute him as he reached out and grasped the pulsing grips. The machine whirred and flashed, calibrating itself to Jack's physical parameters, likely including his cholesterol levels for good measure. "All right," Jack announced, preparing for a warm-up set. The silence in the arena was so profound that the faint hum of the air recyclers was audible. Jack pulled once, then twice. On the third pull, a faint clunk echoed through the room, like a gear slipping out of place. The machine shuddered, a flicker of light traced its polished frame, and then, with the underwhelming collapse of a poorly constructed sandcastle, the Titan Force GX Ultra simply fell apart. Springs sprung forth like confetti, panels clattered to the floor, and a screen blinked weakly before displaying a single, damning word, "error." A wave of stunned silence washed over the Universal Pulse Fitness Arena. The assembled crowd, a bizarre mix of galactic elite, stared at the scattered remains of the Titan Force GX Ultra. Zutix, his translucent membranes twitching uncontrollably, seemed on the verge of a full-blown system failure. Jack Kennel, seemingly oblivious to the magnitude of the event he'd just triggered, casually examined his hands as if checking for grease. "Hey," he mumbled, "weird. Was that supposed to happen?" The silence stretched, thick and heavy with disbelief. Then, the arena erupted in a cacophony of alien chatter. A six-limbed saurian chattered its mandibles, a sound that could have been either rage or hysterical laughter. A gelatinous tunic attempted to reshape itself into a question mark, but only managed a quivering blob. The Quag ambassador, a being twice the size of a hover truck, stood frozen, for glowing eyes wide with shock. Zutix descended from the presentation platform, his shimmering robe swirling around him like a nebula of frustration. He jabbed a clawed finger at Jack. "You? What did you do?" Jack shrugged, seemingly unfazed by the accusatory tone. "Nothing much. Just a warm-up, you know?" Light representatives, he flexed his arms experimentally. Seemed fine, then, not so much. The crowd pressed closer, desperate for an explanation. Zutix knelt beside the wreckage, his claws trembling as he examined the shattered components. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered. "Neutronium-reinforced frame, anti-resonance stabilizers. How? How does a human?" A hushed voice from the back of the crowd offered a chilling suggestion, "It's the sweat." Heads turned towards a small, green, insectoid alien whose antennae twitched nervously. "Humans, they leak fluids constantly. Maybe or corrosive properties?" Jack looked genuinely offended. Come on, my sweat's not acid. I'm not a Zonian. Another voice, deep and rumbling, joined the speculation. What about their bones? Humans have dense calcium-based skeletons. Maybe his bones disrupted the machine's quantum integrity? Hey, leave my bones out of this. Jack protested, holding up his hands in mock surrender. Theories continued to fly: low-level EMP bursts, inherent sabotage skills, unpredictable muscle oscillations. Through it all, Jack stood there, arms crossed, looking like he'd accidentally wandered into a particularly bizarre alien opera. "You're all overthinking this," he finally said. "Maybe it just wasn't as tough as you thought." Zutix snapped to his full height, robes billowing dramatically. "How dare you," he roared. The Titan Force GX Ultra was tested against every conceivable stressor. Gravitational crush fields, magnetic disassembly zones, even a Corrig headbutt. The Corrig ambassador nodded solemnly, as if this were a perfectly reasonable benchmark for gym equipment. Jack gestured to the pile of debris. "Yeah, well, I guess you forgot to test it against me." At that moment, a hover camera, operated by a spherical droid, zoomed in on the wreckage, broadcasting the scene across the Galactic Fitness Network. Within minutes, the entire galaxy was watching. "Breaking news," a robotic anchor announced. "Human destroys indestructible gym machine. Chaos erupts." Chaos was indeed erupting. Zutix frantically tapped at a floating holodisplay, trying to contact his engineering team. The athletes crowded around Jack, poking and prodding him as if he were some strange artifact. A six-sided squaloxon lifted one of Jack's arms and examined it. "Looks flabby," it said, bewildered. "I'm right here, you know," Jack said dryly. "Rude." Zutix's holodisplay blinked to life, revealing the panicked face of Dr. Gix, the chief engineer of Extrax Fitness Solutions. "Zutix, what's happening?" Gix demanded. "Our scanners detected catastrophic failure in the Titan Force GX Ultra." "Failure?" Zutix hissed. "It exploded." "Impossible. That machine was unbreakable." Zutix pointed a claw at Jack. "Well, tell that to the human who just broke it," warming up. The holo feed went silent as Dr. Gix processed this information. Finally, he spoke in a tone of quiet dread. "Get me every detail. Every single detail. This could be bad." Jack glanced around at the chaos he'd caused. "Okay," he said, raising his hands. "Let me just ask, is anyone going to fix this thing, or am I supposed to finish my workout with, like, rocks or something?" Nobody answered. Jack, seemingly oblivious to the magnitude of the event he'd just triggered, casually examined his hands as though checking for oil stains. "Hey," he muttered, a puzzled expression on his face. "Strange. Was it supposed to do that?" The silence hung heavy in the air, thick with disbelief. Then, the arena erupted into a chaotic symphony of alien chatter. The six-limbed saurian rapidly clicked its mandibles, a sound that could have been interpreted as either furious rage or uncontrolled, hysterical laughter. A gelatinous tunic attempted to mold its body into the shape of a question mark, achieving only a quivering, amorphous blob. The Quag ambassador, a hulking creature twice the size of a standard hover truck, remained frozen in place, her luminous eyes wide with shock. Zutix descended from the presentation platform, his shimmering robes billowing around him like a cosmic storm cloud of pure frustration. He jabbed a clawed finger accusingly at Jack. "You! Explain yourself. What in the cosmos did you do?" Jack shrugged, appearing entirely unfazed by Zutix's accusatory tone. "Not much, really. Just a little warm-up, you know?" Easy representatives. He experimentally flexed his biceps. "Felt all right, then, well, not so all right." The crowd pressed closer, a kaleidoscope of alien forms, desperate for an explanation. Zutix knelt beside the wreckage, his claws trembling as he examined the shattered components. "This defies all logic," he muttered under his breath. "A neutronium-reinforced frame, anti-resonant stabilizers. How is this possible? How could a human?" A hushed voice from the back of the crowd offered a chilling hypothesis: it's the perspiration. Head swiveled towards the source, a small, green, insectoid alien whose antennae twitched nervously. Humans, they constantly excrete fluids. Perhaps corrosive properties? Jack looked genuinely insulted. Hey now, my sweat's not battery acid. I'm not some kind of zone-in. Another voice, deep and rumbling like distant thunder, joined the speculation. Perhaps it's their skeletal structure? Humans possess dense calcium-based skeletons. Could his bones have somehow disrupted the machine's quantum integrity? Seriously, leave my bones out of this. Jack protested, holding up his hands as if surrendering to the barrage of outlandish theories. The speculation continued to swirl: low-level electromagnetic pulses, innate sabotage capabilities, unpredictable muscular oscillations. Throughout it all, Jack stood there, arms crossed, looking like he'd stumbled into a particularly bizarre alien opera. You're all way overthinking this, he finally interjected. Maybe it just wasn't as indestructible as you all thought. Zutix snapped upright, robes billowing dramatically. How dare you utter such blasphemy, he roared. The Titan Force GX Ultra was rigorously tested against every conceivable stressor. Gravitational crush fields, magnetic disassembly zones, even a direct headbutt from a Korrig. The Korrig ambassador nodded gravely, as if this were a perfectly normal standard for exercise equipment. Jack gestured to the pile of debris. Yeah, well, I guess you missed one little thing in your testing, me. Zutix's holodisplay flickered to life, revealing the worried face of Dr. Gix, the lead engineer at Extrax Fitness Solutions. Zutix, report. Our sensors registered a catastrophic system failure in the Titan Force GX Ultra. Gix's voice was sharp with concern. Failure? Zutix hissed, his translucent membranes rippling in agitation. It disintegrated. It's a pile of scrap. Impossible. That machine was designed to be indestructible. Gix exclaimed in disbelief. Zutix gestured towards Jack with a trembling claw. Explain that to the human who just pulverized it during his warm-up. A stunned silence filled the holo feed as Dr. Gix absorbed this information. Finally, he spoke, his voice laced with a chilling apprehension. I need every detail. Every single detail. This has serious implications. Jack, surveying the chaos he'd unintentionally unleashed, raised his hands in a gesture of bewildered innocence. So, anyone going to repair this thing, or should I just, lift some rocks or something, he inquired. No one offered a response. Within the hour, the Universal Pulse Fitness Arena had transformed into a buzzing hive of activity. Engineers, scientists, and theorists from all corners of the galaxy descended upon the gym, desperate to unravel the baffling mystery of how a human, a creature barely registering on the galactic power scale, had managed to obliterate the supposedly unbreakable Titan Force GX Ultra. Jack Kennel, the unlikely source of all this commotion, sat perched on a bench near the smoothie dispenser, casually sipping a suspiciously green concoction. Honestly, he said, gesturing with the cup, I wasn't even trying. This thing's not built for casual gym-goers, I guess. Casual? Zutix's membranes fluttered so violently they stirred the air around him. The Titan Force GX Ultra was engineered for galactic champions. It could withstand a Quag power slam. Yeah, Jack said, rolling his eyes, you keep bringing up the Quag thing. Look, maybe it's a calibration issue. Like, did you guys forget to account for, I don't know, human spontaneity? Zutix recoiled as if Jack had suggested replacing neutronium with paper make. Human spontaneity? What in the cosmos does that even mean? Well, Jack began, sometimes we just do stuff. He shrugged. Improvise. Maybe I gripped the bar wrong, or leaned in a weird way. Hard to explain. It's a human thing. The phrase human thing resonated through the assembled engineers like a chilling wind. At the back of the room, a Turnix scientist clutched its data pad and whispered, by the stars, it's worse than we thought. A small group of analysts approached Jack cautiously, brandishing buzzing scanners. Their leader, a jittery insectoid named Dr. Zik, cleared his throat, or rather, produced a series of clicks that translated as such. "Human," Dr. Zik began, adjusting his neural translator, "we require your cooperation for the sake of scientific advancement." "Sure," Jack replied, standing up. "What's the plan?" Dr. Zik gestured towards a device that looked suspiciously like a torture apparatus. "We will conduct a battery of tests to ascertain the exact nature of your unique destructive capabilities." "Whoa, whoa, whoa," Jack interjected, taking a step back. "Destructive capabilities? I'm not a weaponized being. I'm just a guy who wanted a workout." "Workout?" Zutix bellowed from across the room. "You demolished the most technologically advanced machine in the galaxy during your workout." Jack held up his hands defensively. "Technically," he countered, "the machine demolished itself. I just assisted." The scientists disregarded his protests, ushering him towards the testing area. Over the next hour, Jack found himself subjected to a bizarre array of experiments. He was asked to lift weights, twist metal rods, and even attempt to punch through reinforced barriers. The results were inconsistent. "He barely dented the Zorian plate," Dr. Zik muttered, tapping his data pad. "And yet, the Titan Force GX Ultra crumbled entirely. How is this possible?" "Perhaps it's his posture," another scientist ventured. Dr. Zik shook his head. "No, it's something more fundamental. Humans are chaotic, unpredictable. They operate outside of established parameters." He turned to Jack, antennae twitching nervously. "Do you even contemplate your actions, or do you simply react?" Jack scratched his head. "A little of both, I guess. Depends on the day." Dr. Zik stared at his data pad, muttering to himself. "This changes everything. Absolutely everything." "Great," Jack said, getting to his feet. "So, am I done here? I've got, 3 more sets to do." The assembled scientists and engineers exchanged glances, as if collectively wondering if they could survive another round of human-induced chaos. It was within the sterile confines of the investigation chamber, a room usually reserved for dismantling malfunctioning black holes, that the truth finally emerged, or at least, a version of it. Dr. Zik hunched over a console, surrounded by a sea of engineers, scientists, and increasingly agitated gym staff. A 3D schematic of the Titan Force GX Ultra hovered above the table, flickering as new data streamed in. "It's illogical," Dr. Zik muttered for what felt like the 100th time. "We are aware of the illogical nature of this situation." Zutix snapped, pacing back and forth with the palpable frustration of someone whose professional reputation was disintegrating before his very eyes. "You're a scientist. Make it logical." Dr. Zik flinched, but persevered. "Every individual component remains intact," he explained. "The alloy is undamaged, the neural response circuits are operational, the power source is stable." He gestured towards the wreckage of the machine, now scattered across various containment units. "And yet, it disintegrated the moment the human made contact." "Made contact?" Zutix echoed, his membranes fluttering erratically. "He obliterated it." Across the room, Jack sat cross-legged on the floor, consuming what appeared to be an alien energy bar. It glowed faintly, a detail he chose to disregard. "Hey, I didn't mean to obliterate it," he called out. "It just sort of happened." "Precisely," Dr. Zik said, pointing at Jack as if he'd just unveiled the secrets of the universe. "It happened without premeditation, without logic. It was pure chaos." This pronouncement sent a ripple of murmurs through the assembled crowd. Chaos. It was a word that instilled fear in species that prided themselves on order and precision. Chaos was the antithesis of engineering, the nemesis of progress, and now, it seemed, chaos had found a champion. Zutix slammed a clawed hand onto the table. "Explain. Now." Dr. Zik straightened, antennae twitching nervously. The Titan Force GX Ultra was designed with absolute predictive capability in mind. Every conceivable stressor was accounted for: force, vibration, heat, gravitational anomalies. He hesitated, glancing at Jack. But it appears it wasn't designed to accommodate a human's unique problem-solving approach. Jack looked up, chewing thoughtfully. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Dr. Zik said, exhaling slowly, that you moved in a way the machine wasn't programmed to anticipate. Your movements created a resonance cascade, a feedback loop that destabilized the entire structure. Wait, Jack said, raising an eyebrow. Are you saying I broke it because I'm creative? Not creative, Dr. Zik corrected. Unpredictable. Humans are renowned for improvisation, for acting in ways that defy logic. You didn't just break the machine, you broke its logic. Within the sterile confines of the investigation chamber, typically used for dismantling malfunctioning black holes, a semblance of truth finally emerged. Dr. Zik hunched over a console, enveloped by engineers, scientists, and increasingly agitated gym staff. A 3D schematic of the Titan Force GX Ultra flickered above them, updated with incoming data. It defies logic, Dr. Zik mumbled, seemingly for the 1000th time. We're quite aware of its illogical nature. Zutix snapped, pacing back and forth, the embodiment of professional anxiety. You're a scientist. Make it logical. Dr. Zik flinched, but persisted. Each individual component is fully functional, he explained, gesturing to the machine's remains, now contained in separate units. The alloy is undamaged, the neural circuits are responsive, the power source is stable. Yet, it crumbled the instant the human interacted with it. Interacted? Zutix echoed, membranes fluttering wildly. He demolished it. Across the chamber, Jack sat cross-legged, consuming an alien energy bar that glowed faintly, a detail he conveniently overlooked. Hey, I didn't intend to demolish it, he called out. It just happened. Precisely, Dr. Zik stated, pointing at Jack as if he'd just revealed the universe's secrets. It occurred without planning, without logic. It was pure, unadulterated chaos. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Chaos. A word that sent shivers down the spines of species that valued order and precision. Chaos was the antithesis of engineering, the adversary of progress. Now, it seemed, chaos had found its embodiment. Zutix slammed a claw on the table. Explain. Now. Dr. Zik straightened, antennae twitching. The Titan Force GX Ultra was engineered for absolute predictability. Every conceivable stressor was considered: force, vibration, thermal fluctuations, gravitational anomalies. He paused, glancing at Jack. But it seems it wasn't designed for a human's unconventional approach to problem solving. Jack looked up, chewing thoughtfully. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Dr. Zik explained, exhaling slowly, that your movements were outside the machine's program parameters. You created a resonance cascade, a feedback loop that destabilized the entire structure. Jack raised an eyebrow. Wait, are you saying I broke it because I'm creative? Not creative, Dr. Zik corrected. Unpredictable. Humans are known for improvisation, for defying logic. You didn't just break the machine, you broke its fundamental programming. This revelation struck the room like a thunderbolt. Zutix's membranes vibrated intensely. An engineer dropped their tools in shock. Even the gelatinous tunic, quietly vibrating in the corner, emitted a startled gurgle. Jack leaned back, folding his arms. Who? So, I didn't need superhuman strength. I just needed to be me. Precisely, Dr. Zik exclaimed. Your species' inherent disregard for convention caused the failure. The Titan Force GX Ultra was too advanced, too rigid, to adapt to your chaotic input. Zutix's claws scraped against the table. You're telling me our greatest engineering marvel was undone by human indiscipline? Dr. Zik nodded grimly. Yes. That is exactly what I'm saying. The room erupted into a cacophony of arguments. Scientists debated the implications of designing equipment to withstand human unpredictability. Gym staff worried about the reputational damage. A reporter whispered urgently into a comm device, ensuring the galactic news networks caught every detail. Meanwhile, Jack stood up and stretched. "Well, this has been fun," he said, brushing crumbs off his shirt. "But if the galaxy's greatest minds can't fix this, I guess I'll just find another gym." "You're not going anywhere," Zutix shouted, blocking the exit. "You've made a mockery of everything we stand for. We can't let this go unexplained." Jack sighed. "Look, Zutix, or whatever your name is, I didn't ask to be your chaos guinea pig. I just wanted a workout. Maybe you should have thought about that before building a machine that can't handle a little outside-the-box thinking." "Outside-the-box thinking?" Zutix's voice reached a pitch usually reserved for emergency sirens. "You reduced the most advanced machine in the galaxy to rubble." Jack smirked. "Yeah. Pretty wild, who?" As Zutix sputtered incoherently, Dr. Zik sighed and turned back to the console. "This changes everything," he muttered. "If humans are capable of this level of chaos, we'll need to rethink our entire design philosophy. Reinforce adaptability. Embrace unpredictability." "Good luck with that," Jack said, waving as he headed for the door. "Let me know when you invent something that can keep up." The room watched him go, filled with awe, frustration, and a disconcerting amount of fear. For the first time, the galaxy's brightest realized they might never fully understand the creatures they had so often underestimated. The story of Jack Kennel and the Titan Force GX Ultra rocketed across the galaxy faster than an Urshian comet fueled by pure caffeine. News outlets dubbed it the day chaos triumphed over perfection. Memes flooded interstellar networks, depicting a smirking, stick-figure human while alien engineers wept over the shattered remains of their creation. Entire podcasts were dedicated to theorizing about the destructive potential of humans. Some alien species even issued warnings about interacting with humans without proper safety protocols, like handling volatile explosives. Back at Universal Pulse Fitness Arena, however, the atmosphere was considerably less jovial. Zutix stood amidst the wreckage, staring at the fractured pieces of what was once his crowning achievement. His engineering team combed through the debris, muttering amongst themselves and occasionally sighing in defeat. "It's finished," Zutix mumbled, his voice hollow. "Our reputation is in tatters. No one will trust Extract's fitness solutions again. We'll be remembered as the fools who couldn't outsmart a human." Dr. Zik, who had been meticulously reviewing his datapad for what felt like the millionth time, looked up. "You're not entirely wrong," he conceded. "But perhaps this isn't a complete catastrophe." Zutix turned to him, his membranes rippling with disbelief. "Not a catastrophe? Our flagship machine failed spectacularly on a galactic stage." "Yes," Dr. Zik replied, tapping his datapad thoughtfully. "But that failure has revealed something crucial. Humans aren't simply anomalies, they are a living testament to the importance of adaptability and unpredictability. We've spent centuries striving for perfection within rigid frameworks, and today, we discovered why that approach is inherently flawed." Zutix stared at him, incredulous. "Are you suggesting we should express gratitude to this human?" "Not gratitude," Dr. Zik clarified. "We should learn from this experience. If we want to create truly resilient machines, we must embrace the chaos they represent." Zutix groaned, burying his face in his clawed hands. "You've been spending far too much time immersed in philosophical texts." Before Dr. Zik could respond, the gym doors slid open and Jack Kennel strolled back in, carrying a bag of what appeared to be alien snack foods. "Hey," he called out casually. "Left my towel. You guys still upset, or can I retrieve it without being vaporized?" Zutix visibly bristled, but Dr. Zik stepped forward with surprising composure. "Actually, Jack," he said, his antennae twitching, "we have another small request." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Another request?" "Look, if this involves testing another machine, I'm going to need a liability waiver and at least one complimentary smoothie." "No further testing," Dr. Zik assured him. "Just a brief demonstration. We've reassembled a portion of the Titan Force GX Ultra, specifically the grip stabilizers. We'd like to observe you using them again, under controlled conditions. Jack crossed his arms, eyeing them suspiciously. You're not planning on attaching electrodes to me, or anything, right? Zutix muttered something inaudible, but clearly agitated, while Dr. Zik gave a reassuring nod. No electrodes. Just your natural unpredictability. With a shrug, Jack agreed, walking over to the reassembled grips. A crowd began to gather, engineers, scientists, and curious gym-goers, all eager to witness what might transpire. Jack grasped the grips in his hands and pulled gently. Nothing. He pulled again, with more force. Still nothing. Well, looks like it's fixed, Jack declared, releasing the grips. Then, with a faint clink, a bolt shot out of the stabilizer, pinging across the room like a stray meteorite. A small panel popped open, revealing a tangle of wires. The grip drooped pathetically to one side. The crowd gasped. Zutix emitted a sound somewhere between a wail and a growl. Dr. Zik, however, simply nodded. As I suspected, he said. It wasn't a fluke. It's you, Jack. Your capacity to defy logical input is consistent and strangely reliable. Jack blinked. Thanks, I think. Dr. Zik turned to Zutix, a determined glint in his eyes. This is our opportunity to innovate. If we can design something that can withstand a human, it will be truly indestructible. Zutix sighed, his membranes fluttering with reluctant acceptance. Fine. We'll start over. But I refuse to call it the GX Ultra 2. That name is cursed. Jack, oblivious to the tension surrounding him, gave a thumbs up. Glad I could help. Now, about that complimentary smoothie. As Jack wandered back towards the smoothie dispenser, Dr. Zik turned to the team of engineers. Let's get to work. We'll call it the Adaptable GX. And the first thing we'll test it against, he gestured towards Jack, now fiddling with the dispenser nozzle as if it were a complex puzzle box, is him. The room fell silent for a moment before Zutix muttered, Stars help us all. The galaxy was about to witness the dawn of a new era in engineering, one driven not by the pursuit of perfection, but by the maddening, beautiful chaos of humanity.